different from other congregations is based on what is our special gift in the church. What is our charism? What is our mission? And so our mission is particularly one of reconciliation and compassion, whereas another congregation might focus on another aspect like redemption or healing. So each congregation in the church has a specific mission and a specific aspect of the life of Christ to really live out, a specific way of living the gospel. So we as Good Shepherds is reconciliation, but also you might want to think of the image of the Good Shepherd, seeking sheep, seeking the lost ones, the marginalized, those harmed, those hurting in our society, and participating with them in a process of healing and reconciliation, so that they can become, one with themselves and maybe with society, with family, and ultimately through that process they might come to know a loving God through the loving experience of someone who has reached out to them. So how do we as women help other women? And it's a very kind of modern 21st century thing for women to really be in solidarity with one another. Now, how it happens around the world really depends on the needs of women in different parts of the world. For some, it might be to get out of prostitution. And the way to do that is to assist them in finding another way to become economically independent. For others, it could be a mother with children, a husband who has left, and no possible food. So it might be that for them, we would assist them to join with other women and form a microcredit project, maybe in some village, to find a way to get them a cow so that they can sell milk. It really depends on the situation. For others, it might be helping girls who have gotten into difficulty with the law and need assistance to kind of understand what's going on inside of themselves, so they might need counseling. So it really depends on the situation, but the most important thing is that the Good Shepherd sisters are there to facilitate and empower. In one sense it sounds like we're doing this wonderful work, but actually in our constitutions we say, as we sort of like give mercy, we receive mercy in return. So, I think it's a very mutual relationship that we have with the people who we might describe as having special needs. I think the ideal is to work together as a team, to not have a hierarchical process, but really a circular one, where we are in conversation, we have dialogue, where it kind of is what I was just saying about mercy, that we really are mutually involved in this process of growth together. And it's not that one person is better than another, but that we are really unified in our approach to wholeness for everybody. So how does that play out governmentally? I think primarily by thinking of yourself as being a team member, that although you might be the named leader, the process that you use is drawing from the group as opposed to telling the group what to do. We have a saying in English, more heads are better than one, my ideas might be one thing, but if I hear so many other ideas, we might be able to come up with something much greater than any of us by ourselves would have thought. So it's really a process of participation, I think, that we're talking about. I come from a small town in Pennsylvania called Reading, Pennsylvania, and In my city, there was a House of the Good Shepherd. The Sisters of the Good Shepherd had a special program there for girls who were in difficulty, and it was located in my parish. And so after I finished school, and I didn't have enough money to go to university, so I worked, and I got a job working with the sisters as a bookkeeper. And I went to university at night. And one day, I was doing the accounting, and the sister who was in charge came over and said, "Can you help us with the girls?" Because the sister who was working with the girls got sick. So I went over and kept the girls occupied and found, as time went on, this was something that I really loved and really enjoyed doing, being with them. And I also loved hearing our contemplative members praying in the chapel, and so I felt drawn to both the contemplative and the apostolic sisters. But as time went on, it became clear that I had an apostolic vocation to work directly with the people with difficulties. So after I entered, that was what I did. I worked with mostly with teenage girls first, and then as time went on, I began to see our mission of reconciliation also happening on the streets. And so I became a mediator, social worker mediator, and began mediating conflicts in neighborhoods and between family members. And saw that also in doing that, as a form of reconciliation, that we also had to work not only on the streets, but to be a part of movements that changed the systems that kept people on the streets or in difficulty. So eventually, in my province, I worked on justice issues and helped for all of the United States to establish what we called a National Advocacy Center, where I would represent all of the Good Shepherd works, programs, and sisters in Congress with the senators and representatives to talk about those issues which affected our Good Shepherd people, so to speak, to try to help to change laws. We do a similar thing in the congregation at the United Nations, because we're a non-governmental organization of the United Nations, where we take our stories worldwide to the governments. And we find that we're successful in that because we have real stories. We don't just have brain work, statistics, but we can show the faces of the people in need. And this, I think, helps politicians, legislators to see, touch their hearts by our stories. And so I was very much involved in that before I was elected to be the congregational leader.